All right, everybody. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate everybody bearing with us with some tech. Well, I'm really grateful to be here in the construction zone with my good friend Ben Bogie, and we're going to have a really good time here. I am the host of Dave Cooper Live, which is a YouTube channel where we showcase the people, the products, and the processes building all over the world. We travel the world. Got to travel with Ben recently as well. And we're going to have a bunch of other influencers and people that are out there in the high performance zone talk to us up here and all of you of what they have found on their first day here. First day at IBS. What do you think about that?
I think that's great. I ran the floor for about an hour this morning. I'm not sure that I saw anything. I saw the show.
Well, you did. You didn't have to see anything. You were showing everybody everything. So we're going to kick it off. Who out there is having a good time at IBS right now? Let me see a show of hands. How many people have been hanging out watching these guys do all their stuff on stage and enjoyed it, right? It's all about education, and you guys are all amazing. So why don't we kick this off with Jordan? Jordan's sitting over there.
Jordan.
Why don't you join us, Jordan? We're gonna find out what everybody thinks is the best products out there. Check out his boots, huh? So you gotta talk directly into the mic there.
You can never travel without boots because they might think you're a Yankee.
Wow!
Shots fired!
Shots fired! I mean, you live in New England, right? That is heavy territory.
It's all right. In 20 years, you'll figure out that it's good.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna move on with that. All right, Jordan, so you've been walking around the show floor. You're no stranger to being on stage and talking and everything else, obviously. What have you been seeing out there that has you excited or even disappointed for that matter?
Start with exciting because that's more fun. The excitement is not so much anything new. I haven't walked by and saw something that like, man, I've never seen that before, but I've seen a embrace from the manufacturing community on things that y'all been talking about for years. So exterior insulation, right? Like that is in the forefront of people's booths now. Rain screens and different products to provide that drainage plane behind the cladding. That's in the forefront of people's booths. So there's a lot of things that aren't new and a lot of products that aren't new, but people are pushing in a way that I haven't seen maybe before.
You know, and you're absolutely right. I mean, there's definitely change in the air. We're seeing it all over the place. How many of you out there actually starting to see some change on how we look at construction, how we look at buildings, how our youth look at the planning, right? Because that's driving a lot of this conversation right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The climate conversation and the sustainability conversation is forward. The other thing that's really forward is this is the first year since COVID that the show really feels back. Like we've had it before, but it's like, we'll see. This year it's back and everybody is pushing the indoor air quality narrative. Anybody who has a product that aligns with that view, they're really pushing that. So ERVs, HRVs, filtration, all of that stuff is really out in the forefront.
As a ventilation and building science nerd, I can't tell you how much that warms my heart because there used to be little weird pockets of us nerds that would get together and talk about ventilation, but now we're having this broad discussion throughout the entire industry, throughout our entire country, our entire world, about the value of ventilation and how important it really is. Like we talked about before, anybody that's remodeled a house knows what the inside of walls looks like. It's not pretty. This is what we're breathing. This is why we have an epidemic of childhood asthma throughout our country, is because we haven't taken this stuff seriously. And I'm really happy to see that this is starting to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the negative side, I don't know, it's just my pet peeve. Like, just be yourself, man. If you're making products and you're making wood products, let them be wood. If you're making out of plastic, do stuff with plastic that you can't do. Don't try to make it look like wood. Soapbox.
All right, so well, we appreciate you coming up on stage with us. So air matters, it really does. Ben, you hit on a big point there. You know, we interview building scientists all over the world on our show, and it is amazing how the old ductwork and the air quality is making kids sick. Maybe your migraines aren't migraines, maybe it's your house. There's a lot of things you got to start looking at today because the science is starting to prove some of these things out. Maybe your kids don't have those allergies.
Do you know, Dave, what the worst thing for indoor air quality is to cook?
Cooking. So we get.
But cooking what is the worst thing for indoor air quality? Do you know? I just learned this recently.
Vegetables, because I don't like vegetables.
Yes, it's a vegetable. Brussels sprouts is the worst polluter of indoor air quality of anything that's been tested so far. makes sense, right? Because you cook Brussels sprouts in your house, and there's a strong smell associated with it. What that smell is volatile organic compounds coming off from the cooking and roasting process. That being said, they're not harmful to you, but they are just the worst polluters inside of you. So this is all, University of Texas is doing this program called HomeChem right now, where they've built a house and they've put something like $13 million of sensor equipment around this building. And what they're doing is they're going in there and they're pretending to be people living in the house and going through normal life cycles of waking up in the morning, showering, using deodorants, perfumes, doing laundry, wiping down, cooking, all of these things. And what they're learning is that there's all these chemical interactions that are happening in our house. So maybe that cleaning product that you're using isn't bad, and maybe that perfume that you're using isn't bad, but you spray those together, and now they've created this secondary, really nasty chemical in your house. And what we're starting to do is we're starting to learn about those things, because we've been, moving forward as an industry without any of that data. So an idea without data is an opinion. So now we're starting to get data and not just have opinions anymore.
Who would have known he was a cook? That's awesome. I did not know that. So air indoor quality is a big deal. All right, we got a bunch of people in the audience that we're still going to have come up. Why don't we just work our way from the outside in? So whoever's sitting over there, raise your hand. You got something to talk about. I see you. There you go. Come on.
Come on down.
Come on up. Josh Salinger. What's happening, Josh? Good to have you up here. Well, talk directly into that mic, Josh. So, Josh, you're in the high-performance building area in Oregon, doing a lot of passive house and really taking things to the next level. Details matter to this guy in a big, big way, so that's super exciting. Josh, I mean, you've been walking the floor today. What are you seeing out there?
Well, I echo what was said before, just seeing a lot more high-performance products out there and those conversations happening out there too. I was talking to Cheryl here, and she was saying that, I won't get the numbers exactly right, but it was something like 9 years ago when they first started this, they had 27 attendees at the Construction Performance Zone, and she said that last year I think they had 9,000 or something like that, and looking to do more than that this year. So clearly this topic is getting more and more important, and we're starting to see the HBA and IBS take this stuff more seriously, and because it just makes sense, right? I mean, this is stuff that you can prove with science, that you can prove in the physical world. You can use diagnostics to figure this stuff out. It just makes sense, right? And it leads to, better indoor air quality, better energy savings, more durable buildings. Resiliency is something that I've been seeing out here too that we haven't been seeing a lot before. That's a thing that's been coming up a lot. So I've been really surprised with the level of the conversations that I'm seeing out there.
Yeah. So, and I mean, that's really important. I mean, this show is so big. How do you get to everything out there? Your feet hurt by the end of this day, and air quality and how it's being dealt with, and passive house and design, all of those things are becoming a bigger theme here, even on stage, with the offsite, systems building things as well. So, I mean, Josh, what do you look forward to the most when you come to a show like this? Like, what do you put on your schedule to have to want to see or do?
Well, so I have been tasked by Fine Home Building to find some more high-performance products that are here at the show. And so I'm looking for things that are actually, green. I don't like the term green, but high performance in the sense that we're providing better, efficiency and all the stuff I mentioned before, air quality, resiliency, all that stuff. So, I've been interested in the span panel, some of the things that are happening there with being able to shed loads and kind of stretch the ability of batteries, and some of the duct curve, which is the problem that happens when everyone shows up. If we go all electric, we all get home from work, we all turn on the lights at the same time. There's a big surge that happens, and so there's products that are kind of shedding some of that load and evening out that curve. And so there's things like that I'm seeing out there that are really cutting edge stuff that I'm really interested in.
The other part of things like that, like the span panel and seeing like the Leviton load breakers and stuff like that, where they're actually monitoring the energy usage of the house. This goes back to that whole conversation about having data. The more we start to integrate this and start to look at the Internet of Things and all of these things communicating, the more data we collect, the more we can start to understand the buildings that we're putting together and how they're working and interacting with our lives and our climate and everything that we do that influences a building. So stuff like that is, I'm just a data.
Yeah, and the smart home thing is great, but is your smart home wise, right? And that's what I'd say. These guys here are wise. They've got it's kind of like the old school, knowing what works, testing it. It is almost like going back in time and in the future at the same time. So it is smart. We're getting that data, but we're being wise about it, and that intersection is happening, and it's really leading to a lot of really great strides in our industry.
Are you seeing much conversation out on the show floor about carbon?
Not yet. I'm hoping to, and I'm certainly going to try to spark up some of those conversations too, for sure.
I love it. So, Josh, thanks for coming up and chatting with us, but you're absolutely right. Every other industry out there uses data. They do. Every other industry. I don't know if a lot of people know, but construction industry is in last place. Agriculture is ahead of us when it comes to using data and technology. So hopefully that word data comes up a lot more, because we are going there and having fun with it.
So should I put GPS on my framer? Is that what I'm getting? They've got GPS in tractors. So.
Well, does anybody want to see GPS on your framers out there? I didn't think so. What was that? Mark says no. Well, Mark, why don't you come up here and tell us what you think, huh? Come on, Mark Willie. Let's see what Mark Willie has to
Speaking
say.
of wisdom.
These guys think about us. They're killing it.
All right, so Mark, Mark and I do a BS Friday show, and we spend a lot of time talking about science, and we interview a lot of the people from around the world. So, and you're an expert in this in your own right, obviously. What are you seeing out there that's happening?
So at the show in particular,
At the show in particular?
props.
You got props?
So on Friday, Dave and I have a really unique platform where while you're watching on your tablets, is better. While you're watching on your tablets, you can actually scratch them, and you can spell what we're talking about. No other people have it. So when we're in person, I figured you need a visual. So this is my visual for today.
What is that?
That is Simple Excel, and at the end of the day, we talk about air sealing, and we also talk about durability. In order to talk about it, we have to have a connection between the manufacturers and the hands that get it done. So when Dave said, hey, we're going to talk about something, I walk to the booth, I grab a product. This is not a product I normally use, but it's a product that I get support on. And so the support that I get is what I like. So that's my topic for today. It's the support from other people. And you can have a little pretty picture on top of it.
All right, we're going to do away with that. We're just going to start passing around. So let's talk about caulk and air sealing and everything else. You can go ahead and bring another mic in here if you like. What is the easiest way to air seal your home? What is the one thing and the easiest thing that we can use to air seal the home? Is that the next step in it?
Start at the top and work your way down.
So are we talking existing homes or new construction probably for this?
Just construction in general.
Construction in general, I would say, so because we're including existing buildings, I would say a tube of almost anything, but make sure it's elastomeric so it can hold its memory, because we know those materials are growing and shrinking, and they're connecting a different material that grows and shrinks at a different rate. So for a couple cases of caulk, you could go in the perimeter of a building, you can keep the critters out in the area.
Yeah, love it. Perfect.
That's accurate. Yeah, the reason I say start at the top for air sealing is because who here is familiar with the stack effect? Knows what the stack effect is. So the stack effect is the idea that heat rises, right? Who here believes that heat rises? It doesn't. That's actually a lie. Cold air falls, and then you have buoyancy of hot air that sits on top of cold air. So you've been lied to your whole life. But the reason I say start at the top is because the greatest amount of pressure is going to be towards the top of your building. So if you stop the airflow at your ceiling or at your roof level, then you've actually gotten two effects. You get twice as much control by stopping one. So if you stop one at the top from going out, you've now stopped one from coming in because the pressure balances. So if you're trying to air seal a building, always start at the top. Something that will happen is you'll get insulation contractors that will come in to do a retrofit. They're going to say, oh, we're going to come in and going to spray foam your rim in your basement because it's easy for them to get in and hit it. And then what happens is actually the comfort in the house starts to get worse because you've stopped the air seal there, but you haven't stopped it in the top. So it's still trying to pull air out at the top. So now it can't pull it in the basement, so it pulls it in at the first floor windows and outlets. So you actually make the house worse by air sealing starting at the bottom. So if you want to make your house tighter, start at the top, work your way down.
Does that mean that I can put my radiant heating in the ceiling versus the floor if I have a better envelope and I am controlling the environment? Because they're doing that in Europe.
It's actually better to put any of your radiant heating and cooling in the ceiling because we don't put couches on the ceiling. So if you put your radiant heating and cooling in your floor, then we're going to set couches and furniture and rugs and all this stuff over it, and it's not going to work so well anymore. So if you put it in the ceiling, don't put furniture on your ceiling, you're going to be better off. I can't speak for Mark's house. You have an eclectic sense of interior decoration, so that chair on the ceiling really ties the room together.
Mark, appreciate you coming up with us, brother. Thank you very much for joining us. How about a round of applause for Mark Willie? Tell us who you are and what you're seeing out there.
Hey, my name's Russ Stevens from the Association of Professional Builders, and I've been hanging out in the West Hall today. And what I'm seeing, it follows on from what you guys are saying about data. I'm seeing a lot of technology companies offering a lot more options for builders in terms of managing their building companies, and this backs up the data that we've also seen in our own survey of the industry, which does show that this industry is getting more professional year on year. So we might be lacking behind the farmers, but we're going to catch them up.
We're going to catch them up. I love it. I love it. So the excitement of the show this year, obviously you're in the industry and you spend a lot of time looking around and researching and talking to people. What is, outside of data, what are you actually seeing as the trends moving forward?
Well, it's been interesting speaking to builders that have come and visited our stand because we have a lot of members in the US. We've come over from Australia. And a lot of the builders that are visiting the stand, one of the biggest challenge they have is margins. Obviously, they've been eroded over the last couple of years with price increases, so that's a big concern for builders. And the solution for them is fairly straightforward because it's all linked to marketing. And I've seen some great presentations over in the West Hall from some different presenters that actually provide the solution as to how these margin issues can be quite easily solved.
There's, as a business owner here, there's a lot of innovation that's happening in this space. I had the realization a number of years ago that as an industry, we do a better job of teaching people how to build good buildings, but we don't really do a great job of teaching people how to build good businesses. And that's something that's lost. And a lot of that comes out of the fact that we start out as craftsmen or craftspeople that have an interest in working with our hands, and we enjoy that part. So that's the part of our careers that we focus on because we have a passion for the craft and the building, but we don't pay attention to the craft and the science of the actual business. And it took me a while to come around to this, but I'm starting to find all these tools and these services and these products that are at my disposal that are allowing us to tune our business to tighten up on issues like losing our margins because of increases in material costs or because of scheduling issues with our subcontractors and trade partners and stuff like that. So I'm really hopeful that as we see the younger generation come into the industry, they're going to drag this technology along very heavily into here, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of a paradigm shift.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a big difference with the younger builders coming into the industry. They're like a sponge. You can guide a younger builder, and they just go out and do it, and they have results instantly, and they just come back for more. What can I do next? The older guys, they still get it, but they're just a little bit more skeptical and a little bit slower, and as a result, their results are slower. And then we have the over 55s that are ingrained in their ways and they simply don't believe that these kind of margins can be obtained. And unfortunately, it's a bit like the Matrix, where we never try to free a mind over a certain age.
I mean, and that's really it, right? The old, this is how we've always done it. We've tried that before. But I agree on the youth part. We got to meet the youth where they're at. And they've embraced technology. They've embraced the environment and some of the things that we at our generation hasn't done as much as they're doing today. So I think those are all good points. And we gotta keep, if we want them in our industry, we gotta meet them where they're at. We gotta train them the way they need to be trained. We gotta talk to them the way they hear. And I think it'll make a big difference for us moving forward.
Yeah, and more females in the industry as well. We have some great females running construction companies, and we need more of that.
Yeah, sure. Good. Yeah, I'm gonna hit on that. Diversity is a big thing, right? And Ben, we did our presentation earlier. You realize that in a lot of the manufacturing facilities and these off-site building systems companies that anywhere from 30 to 40% of all the workers are women. Working the floor and in the office.
That's awesome. I had the great pleasure when I was working in Maine that 50% of our field crew were women, and it really helped ingrain in me ways that we can shift that thing that happens on a heavily toxically masculine job site. And the thing that I discovered is because I grew up, I spent my entire youth and my early career working on job sites dominated by middle-aged white men. And when we start to bring women in and people of color and underrepresented groups into our crews, what we're finding is we're actually ending up with better products, a better job site, a more comfortable experience for everybody there because everybody now has a seat at the table and you have to value people's input more. So we absolutely need so much more of that in our industry, and I hope we keep trying to find ways to do that better.
Yeah, and a good example of that is the house that she built. I don't know if you've seen it even walking around here. I had the honor of being out there when they did their live opening and showcase. And this was a house built by all women. They flew in from all over if there was a plumber needed or what have you. And I will tell you, it was in a sea of thousands of other homes. And it was the cleanest job sites there. And it was true. It was the cleanest job site there and the layout. So it really was a wonderful thing to see. And they were so excited about it. And I will tell you this, they always had crumble cookies. They know what they're doing.
Our snack game, and this is not me pigeonholing, our snack game on our job sites went up exponentially when we started adding women to the crew.
Oh, I love it.
That's a lesson that I learned.
All right, so we have some more people over there. Matt Bloomquist, you want to come up here? Listen, everybody, this is a teacher that's
Trade school
teaching
teacher of the year.
Youth, to the next level and does an amazing job. So, Matt, thanks for joining us.
I figured now would be a good time to segue in, right, off your guys' discussion. So I teach high school building trades. The students show up on the job site every day. They're mad at me right now because I am here, and they are not on the job site. They build a high-performance house from foundation to trim. So everything you guys were talking about, was it Russ, correct? Correct, Russ. Yeah. Getting to the youth is important, right? It's a bad analogy, but it's the true analogy. Everybody's familiar with Camel cigarettes. Joe Camel was not catered to adults, right? Because youth is impressionable, but we can use this to... Is this why I started smoking? Yes, right? This is what happened, Ben. Joe Camel, gotcha.
Not me.
But we can use this as a good tool. Like, what is the best thing I've found out today being on the floor, I didn't get to go around to a lot of booths as much as I went to, but everybody would come up and talk about, not so much like, oh, that's so cool that you guys are doing this. It's now the conversation is, okay, what do we got to do to get this into where I live? And that's what I like to see. People now are realizing that if we can get more of these programs, I mean, even if you get shop class back in, it doesn't even have to be on a site building, and let these kids see that, I always tell everybody, I don't know if it's the fact that people aren't interested. We just took away the opportunity to find out if they were interested, just like anything, right? So we know if we like English or math, right? Because we have to take it. But if we throw people into shop classes or hands-on classes, whatever it is, now they find out if they like it, if they don't like it. I'm fortunate in my opportunity, they get to find out if they like carpentry, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, and I feel a very strong burden to make sure that I know there's a better way to build, thanks to people like you guys and everybody, others around here. And there's a whole group of teachers that are actually here for the same reason, to learn more. And, we take that responsibility wholeheartedly to build better and make sure the kids know better. So my students know what better is, right? They know what high performance is, they know how to air seal, they know how to run a blower door test, and they don't know any other way. Now, if somebody else shows them something else, well, they still know the better way. So, and then getting, female into the class is another thing we really strive. I have 5 daughters at home, 4 stepdaughters, and a daughter of my own. Before we finally had a boy, and so I'm very much. I will promise you. You give me 10 girls, I will beat every boy class, hands down, because of reasons. The job site's cleaner, the attention to detail, they listen, it's done right. Mostly the first time. Okay, it takes maybe 1 more, 2 more of you to help lift the wall. Who cares? But we're
they're
not
going to do less
it.
damage to their bodies because we don't have this toxic masculine competition thing that happens on the job site, where now I have like degenerative back issues after 20 years in the trades because, you can pick that up. Yep.
And I will say this real quick before I jump off here. When it comes to, I get a question a lot is, how do we get more girls interested? Part of it is just getting youth interested, period. But what I'm starting to find when we do have the girls in the class, the boys are becoming comfortable and used to having the girls around. But the key is how we get the girls comfortable being around mostly all boys, and they may only be the 1 or 2 girls in the class. So I think boys are very accepting of them being there. I think we got to figure out how to make sure the girls feel accepted, and I think that will help boost at least the youth getting involved.
Yeah, and I agree with that, and I think that support will come as we see more women move into this space, and we've traveled. I mean, big project managers, tallest mass CLT building ever built was actually a project run by a woman. And it was one of the best projects. And I have to tell you, once they get into it and get out there and people see they know what they're doing, it doesn't even matter. This is what we found out there. So what are you seeing on the show floor that you really like?
Like I said, I didn't get to see much, unfortunately. I'm hoping to see a lot more tomorrow. But I was super excited. We were at SIGA last night, and the fact that Etienne said this is the first time they've been in the show. Yeah. If you're from, SIGA is a supporter of our program. We've used the Fentrim tape, amazing. We'll be using Myrex next year, or next build that we'll be starting here next fall for our air barrier. So I'm very excited to be them partnering up with us in a bigger role, and the fact that they are finally here and kind of echoing what Josh was talking about. Their morals and values and everything. Glad to see them on here. And everyone knows Etienne. He's one of the best people.
For sure. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. How about a round of applause? This is the gentleman teaching our youth. All right, come on. Who's up next? Come on up here and tell us who you are. You're upright. All right. So, Live Free. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you're enjoying the most about the show today.
Hi, guys. My name is Chris Merchandani. I'm from Kamloops, British Columbia. We're custom builders and high-performance builders out there in northern BC, and we love building science. Not as much as Ben here, but we're kind of getting on the train there.
I need to find better hobbies is all that is.
But, yeah, we've been building for about 7 years up north there, and we love what we do, and we're passionate about what we have, so it's been an awesome experience kind of going, and this is actually my first time to Vegas and the build show, so getting the whole experience all in one has been a lot of fun here.
So what do you think? What surprised you when you got here?
Vegas is a lot quieter and colder. Vegas weather is Canadian weather.
I know they kind of pulled the old bait and switch. It's a desert. It's supposed to be warm and dry, and it was freezing cold and raining yesterday. So that's
pretty similar climate to Kamloops right now. So
I don't think it's normally like this. Did you see anything on the floor so far that really grabbed your attention? Stuff that shocked you? Stuff that you never thought you'd see here?
Actually, kind of keeping on the building science train. We've seen a ton of manufacturers, stuff like SIGA, Huber, things like that have kind of elevated the building science. And when I was walking the show floor just a little bit over down there, I kind of saw something out of the norm, but in the building science realm. And I kind of think of it more as a convenience-based product. It's an air-sealed dog door.
An air-sealed dog door, yep.
So I was kind of like, what? And it's along with the building science stuff, but it's kind of focusing on a bit of a niche. And myself, I have 2 dogs, and I've definitely wanted to kind of see products where we can provide our clients with a little bit of a elevated experience or a convenience factor. And these are double pane doors, fully gasket sealed, everything around, and they perform really well. They've been a manufacturer for about 35 years, and I think this is a newer product they just kind of released over the past bit, and it has been, yeah, that's a different realm to the building science
I think we'll keep seeing more and more of this as we have clients that push us in the direction, and as we have codes push us in the direction. We're going to start to see all sorts of innovative solutions to all these common things that we've taken for granted for a long time. That cold draft coming in through the dog door in January. Like, what do? That's just what you can buy.
Who would have thought? Dog doors, air sealed, right?
Airtight dog doors, passive house dog doors.
Right.
I'm here for it.
So who out there, and I heard some people actually applause when they heard that, right, on the floor? Yeah, let me see a show of hands. Who could use an airtight dog door while they're building a house? Look at that. I mean, it's true, right? Heck yeah, especially if you live in Vegas in the winter. It's cold. It is cold. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming up and sharing that with us. We really do appreciate you.
Thanks,
we got
guys.
a couple more guests we're going to bring up here. So,
Appreciate
Live Free Contracting. Who do you want to call up?
Oh, come on, Sean.
Sean St. Amour.
The Clay Way.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me. We've talked about a lot of really cool stuff. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Sean Sainamore with Clay Construction out of Vancouver. There's a bit of a Vancouver crew that's down here today. One of the things that we haven't talked about is, again, more of the mechanical systems. And so we talk about we're going to get heat pumps in our fridges, heat pump dryers, hot water heat pumps, and then, of course, hot water heating and cooling systems. And so over at the Ream section, I saw that they had one of their hot water heat pumps cut open. You could actually see the insides. For domestic hot water.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool that, again, you get here and you get to see things, but when booths have really sophisticated displays and you get to kind of nerd out on the geek of it, that was pretty cool. So that kind of stopped me in my tracks. Just to go back to the Sega, one of the things that Sega has that we won't get into the Canadian market until May is they have a corner detail for the windows, which is pretty cool. Again, we've seen Huber come out with the stretch tape, but they've got a really cool corner detail that should probably take half the time. Otherwise, sometimes just getting to the show and meeting people in real life. I mean, some of us, we've known each other virtually for 2 years now, and to be able to hug and squeeze and say hello to everybody is pretty exciting. So there's the collaboration that we all need to continue, meeting and greeting, but again, getting here and seeing some of the small details that we don't get to, and in different markets. We don't have Huber too much in BC, and so be able to hang out with them and see the stuff that Jake and Steve talk about was pretty cool. And again, more of the on-site stuff. So sitting here listening to you guys is pretty good. So keep up the good work, Ben and Dave, and thanks for having us to share our insights today.
Thanks, Sean. I want to echo that, because for me, I've been coming to the show for a number of years, and after a certain point, you kind of burn out on the show floor. It's basically the same thing as last year, and I'm not trying to downplay it, but the reason that I keep coming back to shows like this is so that I can interact with people like you and Dave and all these people that I don't even know and make these connections, and that does so much for our industry and for our community and for our own personal careers, is being able to get together and learn the things that we didn't know, or commiserate and pat each other on the back because we're going through the same struggles.
Yeah.
That is so valuable.
And one last thing, too, is one of the advice that I got before I got here was there's so much to see that if you don't make a plan, you will die as soon as you walk in. And what's crazy is, as great as that agenda is, and now again, you actually had it on your show there, Dave. You're like, here's the cool app, all the great things, but they don't have all of the, some of the booths have really good presentations. And so you got to make your own spreadsheet of fun to make sure that you have an agenda and you don't waste your time just searching out there. So if you didn't make your schedule fun next year, you need to make sure you're planned and prepared, because otherwise, some of our friends, like Andrew over there, he's walked kilometers and kilometers because he didn't know the right person to check in with. And so make sure you have a plan and you stick to it, because otherwise you're walking and taking care of lots of steps.
I have Advil in my bag.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why you're standing all the way back there. You better work your way closer. I think that was an invitation. Just saying.
My plan always to make sure you have a continuous air barrier and you start with all those great principles, because then you make sure you're taking care of the benefits of high performance. Mr. Mark sets you up, eh? Like,
Oh, he
jeez.
always sets you up. I know.
Wow.
He's a troublemaker. He's a
Yeah.
troublemaker.
Anyhow, gentlemen, we'll turn it over. Real pleasure.
Hey, appreciate you.
It's a
Thanks-
pleasure to
thanks
meet
for
you.
coming Up with us. All right. All right. Who else out there would like to come up? Come on up here. Love to hear from you.
Let's
So-
hear it.
And the rest of you sitting there, you've been
Build
walking
tank.
the floor. We'd love to hear what you think of their best products.
Hey,
You
Rob.
down there, you over there. So now's your chance. Hi there.
Hey, I'm Robbie Schwartz with Build Tank Inc. I call myself a practical building think tank. So we try to choose projects that will help move our industry forward. And I think the best thing about the IBS show is that we get to, I wanted to say confront, but it's not the right word. We get to talk to the industry, we get to learn from the industry, and we get to point out things that just aren't working. A quick example, had some great conversations with Tyvek DrainWrap, Keen products, great products for creating an airspace behind stucco and lick and stick stone products. But the code is saying that those products need to be installed on top of a weather-resistant barrier. The code doesn't realize that that second layer is a sacrificial coat. And so these products we're having problems putting sound building science principles into application because the industry isn't aware that there are issues. And we have the opportunity here to bring practical life application issues to the manufacturers and hopefully promote change in the industry. And then the other thing that I think has been great is that we've been able to hear people confronting those people who are saying, I've done this for 30 years, and point that
Doesn't mean
out.
you
that
did it right.
Yeah, exactly. The great example in one of the, it wasn't here at the construction zone, but at another pop-up presentation, they were basically saying, you know, I change my iPhone every time they put out an iPhone, but I haven't changed the way that I frame my house in 30, 40 years, or since 1870. You know, we're still framing our houses in the same way. So it's just a great opportunity to have these kinds of conversations.
Yeah, one of the things I love, and Robert, that's a great point, being able to come to shows like this is you can get face-to-face with the people that are running those companies, and you can give them your feedback. And it was surprising to me when I first started to have those conversations with people from major manufacturers, and to realize that a lot of them will listen. And then, you know, after being at this for a number of years and seeing some of that feedback actually start to be reflected in products and product changes and the new product types coming out, this is vital. This is that feedback loop that we need to be inside of to keep having these conversations and pushing the industry forward. So yeah, get out there and bitch about the things you don't like or tell them the things you do like. That's why they're here too.
Everybody doesn't know what they don't know, so let them know.
You know, before you go, one of the things that I've been seeing out there is a lot of the product manufacturers, you know, the folks that are here, you know, displaying and helping this show actually exist, are starting to spend a lot of time in the field and listening to builders and putting a lot of science and technology behind the studies of the feedback that they're getting. And I think you guys are both seeing that, and that's what I'm hearing here. And I think that's a really powerful tool. So if you're a builder and you have a rep out there or you're working with somebody, I think if you ask them, they're looking for that feedback, and you might be surprised on what comes out of it. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I've seen over the last 5-10 years than ever else.
It used to be you're just trying to sell me product, and now it's a two-way street. We're starting to realize that we can't push forward, we can't deliver these buildings that our clients and that the code require without us all having this collaborative conversation. And the thing I will say is if somebody doesn't want to listen to you, then just don't use their product.
That's right. That's right. Hey, thank you very much for joining
Thanks,
us today.
Robbie.
Love it. Love it. Round of applause. All right. Who else out there has been seeing some great? There's somebody right there. She's throwing you under. There you go. Come on up here. I don't bite, but he might.
We call that voluntold. You were just voluntold.
Voluntold to come up here.
Well, I was trying to get Betsy to come up here because she's such a great example in the South. I'm from Atlanta. For those that know
We
Betsy, she's
actually
a
have
natural.
another chair right here. Look
Come
at
on
that.
up, come on up.
Right? Yeah, come on. That's how it works. All right. Have a seat right there in the middle. All right. Well, first of all, why don't you guys let us know a little bit about who you are?
I am Betsy Luttrell with Nashville, Tennessee. I'm an architect and a realtor. That's how I know Christopher.
Yes. So I'm a realtor, but I specialize in high-performance homes. So I help you guys obtain value.
Sustainable real estate, which is why I wanted him to be part of the conversation, and happy to know him through that work. And
I'm here with NAR this week. We are recruiting.
The National Association of Realtors.
Yes, the National Association of Realtors. We are recruiting. We are heavily in this space. We are trying to inform our members, our 1.5 million members across the country, about trends with high-performance housing, whether it's energy savings, whether it's indoor air quality, whether it's electrification. And we have some great exhibitors at our conference this year. We don't normally have product manufacturers in the building space engage with us. They kind of scratch their head and say, why do you need to know about realtors? Well, realtors are the original influencers, what I say. They know a lot of the right people, and people come to them for questions when they're going to renovate. And we need our members to understand a lot of these technologies. So I'm here looking at a lot of the same things people talked about. Ream is on my list. I've got Ream in my house. The span panel is a big thing I'm looking at. And we're just trying to engage in that space and kind of close that loop.
Yes, it's the largest trade organization in the United States. It's got a lot of power with policy, mortgage. You know, it's a pretty strategic place to be. So, and if you are building high performance homes, make sure you're using the Appraisal Institute's uniform, the Energy Efficiency Addendum for residential and commercial. Yes, y'all are awesome. This is great.
And you're designing to passive house standards?
No, I wish. I have a budding architecture and construction company with my husband, Austin, May Pop Building Workshop, May Popping Off in Nashville, Tennessee. And then I have a real estate license as well, because the frontier of valuation, which is the frontier of lending and all the other good shit, so normal people can have these types of houses. And I'm sorry I said shit.
It's all right.
It's all right.
We're all adults.
Yeah, we are. Perfect. Well, listen, we appreciate you guys coming up. You know, just real quick, though, before you go, what was the most exciting thing that you've seen happening at the show so far? And we'll start with you, Betsy.
I think the most exciting thing I saw was when I was sitting at the very front of that and turned around and saw, I mean, how many hundreds of people were in this high performance zone. So just the fact that there are so many people that want to know, you know, where the rubber meets the road, where these details, how they take shape, and then also just the interest in that and the support from the conference. So.
Just the size of this conference. I've been to a ton of conferences across the country. Nothing like this. It's very overwhelming, and you do need a spreadsheet.
Yeah. Thank y'all.
All right, how about a big round of applause?
Or lots of Advil.
It's not easy coming up here. We got about 3.5 minutes left. I see Big Dog Construction hiding in the background back there. So if anybody wants to tap them on the shoulder and have them come up here. Is there anybody else out there that wants to come up? Would you like to come up and tell us a little bit about it? Sure, come on up. Yeah, we're calling you Big Dog. No, you're not getting away from us.
I'm Tim Kelly with Opera Build out of Park City, Utah. We are a bags-on general contractor, so we do everything from dirt to dry-in and finish trim. My background is finish trim, and the more I had to fix other people's mistakes, the less I wanted to do it. So we just started getting more and more involved, and the more you get involved, the more you learn. The more you learn you don't know, and the more you just keep learning. And it's been interesting, like sitting in this zone all day, basically, just seeing the level of interest people have shared in high performance building. And I think the next step is figuring out how to convert that into sales with clients and really selling that quality of construction with clients. And there's a couple of keywords that I've noticed. In terms of resilience, comfort, durability, spreading these keywords among the community and familiarizing clients with those concepts, I think will really help push this into, the next generation of building.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I do think that getting the word out there and really, speaking the language in a way that the customer can understand the value and the benefits is really what's going to start driving this forward. I always say we need our industry to be like the pharmaceutical industry, right? You want your client to say, "Hey, I want that blue pill," but we want the consumer to ask us for a better product. It shouldn't be us having to teach them. They should know that there's better out there, and that'll help change a lot of people.
That being said, if this is an area that you're trying to push into with your business, devote time and energy to educating your client. And what I mean by that is by making your website have good information on it about the value of what it is that you bring to the table. Because we sell projects in our little niche that we exist in based on comfort, durability, health, all of these things. We're not selling it because they want the lowest energy bill. Somebody that can afford to build a new house probably isn't too worried about what their monthly energy bill is, and that's the truth about it.
Well, and going back off that, like I said, there's certain keywords that are circulating around the room, and those keywords are the same keywords that are going to draw people to your SEO on your webpage.
Bingo.
So trying to figure out what those keywords are so that we can, attract from those Google searches.
That's it. That's why I say that, because you put that content out there, and then you're going to start optimizing that SEO, and it's going to feed into you. And we spend a lot of effort doing that on our end. And it helps to educate our clients so that they understand the value of what it is that we bring to the table as high-performance builders, because we do. We have the luxury of being able to deliver a better product. And it's backed by physics and science and research. The work we do is superior to what most other builders do.
And then
it's done well.
And then also being, hands-on in the trades, framing very large projects is, I've seen it, the stubbornness in the field of, why are we doing it that way? We've done it this way. You're just creating a headache for us. It's never going to work. And so, trying to sift through the marketing of some of these companies and trying to figure out what is, what are the most executable details in the field to set up the project for success and not have a hidden leak in the air barrier because someone, cut through it and you can't find it now.
Yeah, and that comes down to the trade education as well, like you're talking about, and really getting people on board and understanding. But just to wrap that one up, though, talking to your customer as they would understand it, because all the acronyms and what we like to use in this industry, it just goes right over their head, and I think that's one of the biggest problems we also face as well. Tim, thank you so much for coming up.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. So Ben, we're up on time here, but real quick, what's the most exciting thing you're looking forward to at this show?
For me, this is a selfish thing. I'm looking forward to being able to share stage with Joe Stiebrick tomorrow afternoon, who is the godfather of building science in our industry and a personal hero of mine. So that's what I'm here for.
And I love that. And for me personally, this is the first year that we've seen so much building system activity, not only on the floor, but on the stages as well. There really is some change in the air, and we're super excited to be seeing it. We're super excited to be on stage with, high-performance builders and the like, and to just be here at the National Association of Home Builders for helping bring all this education together. It's super important for us moving forward.
Big thank you to NAHB and to all the sponsors that help put this together.
All right, how about a big round of applause? Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.